Good afternoon. From the KUOW newsroom, this is Seattle Now. I'm Paige Browning with a roundup of today's top stories. It's Wednesday, February 18th. Starting with immigration news, the Department of Homeland Security is looking to expand its presence in Washington state. But as Gustavo Sugrero reports, some cities are hoping that won't happen.
Seattle and Spokane are two big cities that have just started thinking about bans on detention facilities in their jurisdiction. But one of the first cities to actually do it is in the suburbs. City of SeaTac's Joe Vincent was one of the council members that voted to pass its detention facility moratorium last week. With what land the city has, he wanted to make sure building homes is the focus instead of federal priorities over locking up immigrants.
The city of SeaTac has historically always lobbied for local control and has done its best to advocate for our community, for our residents.
Vincent says many of the residents of SeaTac are rideshare and other gig workers. Over half the population of SeaTac are people born in a different country who later became citizens of the U.S. The moratorium expires in early August of this year. Gustavo Sugrero, KUOW News.
Also at the city level, the Seattle City Council just unanimously passed a bill that prohibits city employees from sharing people's information with federal immigration enforcement agents. State law already prevents local jurisdictions from helping with civil immigration efforts, but this bill gets rid of language in the municipal code that directed city staff to work with the feds. The only way they can do that now is under a court order. More news today from City Hall. Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson says in the coming weeks, she'll introduce legislation to expand the number of homeless shelter beds. Scott Greenstone has more.
Wilson gave her first State of the City address on Tuesday, and while the speech was light on details or proposals, the mayor did tease plans to fund and quickly build more shelter beds through a bill to City Council.
I know that we have a big hill to climb, and dramatic changes will not happen overnight. But I am determined to add 1,000 new units this year with services matched to people's needs, and we are on our way to reach this goal.
Wilson said about 4,000 people are sleeping outside in Seattle. The last two mayors also made promises to expand shelter and tiny house villages, but struggled to get that done. Scott Greenstone, KUOW News.
The Super Bowl winning Seattle Seahawks are now for sale. Paul G. Allen's estate, which owns the team, announced today it started a formal sale process. The announcement was expected, but comes just 7 days after the team's victory parade that drew 1 million people to downtown Seattle. Owner Jody Allen is following her late brother's directive to sell his teams and donate the proceeds. This is the first time an NFL team has been put up for sale the same year it won the Super Bowl. There's little we love more than a baby orca announcement, and we've got one today. A baby orca no more than a few days old was spotted in the Strait of Juan de Fuca near Victoria on Monday. The Center for Whale Research says this baby was born to the L pod. That's one of 3 family groups of Northwest endangered killer whales. Most of these young orcas don't live to their first birthday due to a shortage of salmon, pollution, and inbreeding. If it survives, it could bring the endangered orca population to 77. In the legislature today, a lot of action. Governor Bob Ferguson has outlined what he wants to see in the final version of the millionaire's tax proposal. If passed, the state would levy a nearly 10% tax on household incomes over $1 million. Ferguson says he wants $1 billion of the proceeds to go toward giving small business owners a tax break. He also wants proceeds to go to expanding the working family tax credit so that more households qualify for that program.
So we should also increase, by the way, the amount that we send in terms of the rebate. And my proposal increases the amount by 30%.
The proposed tax on income is now in the hands of the state house. Law enforcement organizations say they fear unintended consequences from Washington state's proposed ban on face masks for police. As Amy Radel reports today, stakeholders say they're working on a solution.
A bill that would ban members of law enforcement from covering their faces is advancing in the state legislature. It's aimed at federal immigration agents, but James McMahon with the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs says he's worried that local officers could get sued under it, even for wearing hoods or sunglasses.
We don't wear masks. Our concern is an officer gets rung up for allowing something to obstruct their face that none of us intend.
Law enforcement organizations are working on an amendment. It would allow exceptions to the ban to be more easily updated by state regulators. The bill already exempts protective gear and officers working undercover. The ban passed the state Senate last month and was heard in the House Community Safety Committee this week. Amy Radel, KUOW News.
And one big bill is dead. The bill to change Washington's citizen initiative process, which was backed by Democrats. Conservative advocates had deemed it the initiative killer, and even the Democratic Secretary of State opposed it. Spokane Public Radio's Owen Henderson reports.
The Democrats' proposal didn't pass a legislative deadline Tuesday. The bill would have banned per-signature payment for signature gatherers and added extra hurdles to file a measure. Supporters argue the current structure lets rich people put their pet interests in front of lawmakers or voters. Opponents, like conservative hedge fund manager and prolific initiative backer Brian Haywood, say the proposal was anti-democratic. Democratic Secretary of State Steve Hobbs wrote in a statement, "Partisanship shouldn't distract from citizens' right to participate in direct democracy." Two of Haywood's ballot measures, dealing with parental rights and transgender athletes, are likely to go before voters this fall. I'm Owen Henderson, reporting.
Former Washington Governor Jay Inslee speaking out after President Trump overturned the basis of the nation's greenhouse gas regulations. President Trump announced last week that the EPA would throw out the scientific finding that climate change threatens human health. Inslee, a Democrat and a high-profile climate advocate, says Trump's move was blatantly illegal.
It is not a surprise. He said he was going to do this, so there's no shock about this. And there should not be shock when the courts throw this mean-spirited, idiotic, non-scientific, flat Earth Society climate denial out the window.
Inslee says there's a good chance the climate rollback will be thrown out in court. He notes that Washington state can continue to regulate climate warming pollution on its own. On the topic of our environment, snowpack has officially fallen to less than half of its normal amount for this time of year in Washington. The National Water and Climate Center tracks 76 snow locations statewide, and the majority are below half their median amount. For example, Blewett Pass has 23% of the snow it usually does at this time of year. Paradise has 43%. Cougar Mountain sits at just 4%. A small storm is arriving in the Cascades this week, with forecasters hoping it'll add to the dismally low coverage. As day 13 of the Winter Olympic Games wraps up, another Northwest athlete is engaged. Today, hockey forward Hillary Knight, a.k.a. Captain America, proposed to Brittany Bowe, a decorated speed skater. The winter sports power couple met at the 2018 Olympics. Knight from Sun Valley, Idaho, captains Team USA and the Seattle Torrent in her professional career. And tomorrow's the gold medal game. Team USA faces Canada in women's hockey at 10:10 Pacific time tomorrow morning. Earlier tomorrow, UW graduate Anna Gibson competes in the women's ski mountaineering sprint starting at 12:50 a.m. after midnight. And in men's curling, Team USA lost its final round-robin game this morning against Great Britain. And now the team's fate is in the hands of others. USA Curling, with 2 Seattle-taught sliders, will only advance if Italy, Norway, and Germany lose tomorrow. Next time on Seattle Now, Bellevue is a very attractive place for AI growth in the region, and that's intentional.
There's a really full-force lobbying effort from not only the city council, but also commercial real estate developers, brokers, to get these companies to come to Bellevue.
Hear more Thursday morning. That's all for today from the KUOW Newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Andy Hurst, and I'm Paige Browning. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. See you tomorrow.